Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're exploring one of the most important features across the entire site, and I don't say that lightly. Today we're hitting ChartStyles, one of my personal favorites, going to help you streamline your charting workflow, make things much easier as you set up these chart templates that allow you to take a set of indicators, a chart type, a period, all of that good stuff, save it as a chart template for future use. You can use that across all different securities, apply it to chart lists, tons of things that you can do with ChartStyles. So we're going to show you everything you need to know about ChartStyles on today's show in both SharpCharts and ACP. Lots to cover. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into the features, show you around the tools, and ultimately help you get more value out of Stock Charts. That's our mission here every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time up on the live channel, but also up on our YouTube channel after that, and of course, the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. So lots of different ways to tune in, lots of different ways to watch every week. My name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com and your host for today's show. We are going to have some fun. As I mentioned in the opening, this really is one of the most important features on Stock Charts. There are a couple of things that are really kind of the crucial building blocks of the site, the crucial building blocks of your kind of charting workflow on Stock Charts. And really, these are the reasons that you sign up for a membership. These are the reasons that you become a member, the reasons that you kind of step up to those advanced features. One of them is chart lists. One of them is, just more indicators and things on your charts. But one of the crucial building blocks of the site is ChartStyles. Now, we get this question from a lot of people that are kind of new to Stock Charts. Hey, I have to set up my chart every single time from scratch. Is there a way I can kind of streamline that or make this easier? Why do I have to add indicators and change the chart type and everything every time I come to the site? Well, the answer to that is ChartStyles. With ChartStyles, all you have to do is set up your charts exactly the way that you want them, and then in a couple of clicks, you can save that template for future use. There are lots of different things that you can do with this, as you're going to see on the show today, but it really is kind of one of the most important features of Stock Charts, the ability to set up these chart templates with all of the indicators, the chart type, the size, the color scheme, the period, everything that you want to see on your charts, everything that's most important to you. You can save that as a chart template to come back to in the future. And again, we call those ChartStyles. So we're going to walk through all of that today, going to give you a great sense of kind of how to use some of these features. We're going to do it in SharpCharts, then we're going to jump over to ACP, show you how some of this works over there. There are some little differences between the two, but a lot of similarities between them as well, and the terminology is the same, the concepts are the same. So even if you're an ACP user, you're definitely still going to get a lot out of this first section that we're going to do here in SharpCharts. So going to be a fun tour. We're going to really hit it. Let's get started. All right, everyone. So we are here on what we call the SharpCharts Workbench. Of course, one of the most important pages on the site. If you're a SharpCharts user, if you've got SharpCharts selected from that menu up at the very top and you enter in a ticker symbol, this is the page that you are going to see. Now, if you're kind of new to Stock Charts, you might be thinking, hey, wait a second, that chart looks a little bit different than mine. How come that chart is not the same as mine? Well, the reason is I've created a chart style. I have saved it as my default, and that is what you are seeing up on the screen here. So anytime I come up to this box around the entire site and I type in a ticker symbol, this is the chart I see because I've saved this kind of template. If you think about it that way, I've saved this chart style as my default. I've said this is kind of the one that I want to start with. So my charts look a little bit different than yours because I've set this as my default chart style. We're going to show you how to do the exact same thing. Now, we are going to skip over one very crucial section, which is setting up your charts. We've done that on previous episodes. We've actually kind of covered ChartStyles a little bit on previous episodes as well. But the most crucial, the sort of first starting place to set up your ChartStyles is to actually create those chart templates. We're going to skip over that for the sake of time on today's show. But to just kind of breeze through it very, very quickly, you're going to come down here and you are going to set up your Sharp chart with all of the settings that you want. That's going to include the chart type, the period, the range, how much data you want to see on that chart, the size of the chart, the color scheme, things like log scale, whether you want the full quote turned on, all of your overlays, of course, all your moving averages or Bollinger Bands, whatever kind of overlays you want to use on your chart, and then any indicators that you want. So if you want the MACD, you want the RSI, you want volume on there, maybe a relative strength line, any of those different settings that you put on your chart, those will all be saved to the ChartStyle. Really, when you think about a ChartStyle, again, it's a chart template that's going to be used again in the future. The only thing, though, that's not going to get saved to it is the symbol. So because it's a template that you're going to reuse with other symbols, the only thing that doesn't get saved to this kind of chart style is the symbol. So you'll see as I change this symbol up here, let's say we jump over to something like Apple, the chart is going to look exactly the same. All of our settings down below are going to be exactly the same, but the only thing that's changed is the ticker symbol. So that's kind of how these chart styles work. That's a quick tour. So assume that we've kind of skipped that step. We've jumped through setting up your charts. Now we want to save this as a chart style. Where do we go from there? That's kind of where we're going to start on today's show. So down below the chart, the first thing that you're going to want to do after you create sort of your primary chart, your most important one, you got all the overlays and the indicators, the chart type, the period, all that stuff set up exactly the way that you want it, you're going to want to save that as your default chart style. So couple of different things that you need to know. Down here below the chart, actually, below that bar that's got the annotate and share links, you've got a little line in here that says chart styles. Let's take a quick tour through this little menu, but then we're going to actually show you how to save some of these chart styles to your account. Get started with that save process. First and foremost, you do have a list right here of all of the different chart styles that you have saved to your account. Now, in my case, we're looking at my account, so we've got a ton of these in here. And down at the bottom of that menu, you even have some predefined chart styles that you can choose from. But that is one way to access all of your different chart styles. If you haven't saved one yet, though, you're going to need to do that first. So, of course, the next button up is Save as Default. So if you're kind of coming to StockCharts for the very first time, or if you have a new chart that you want to save as your default chart, as your default chart style, all you have to do is hit that Save as Default button. That's going to quickly save this chart as your default chart style. Now, really quickly, let's talk briefly about the default chart style, kind of what that means. It actually means a couple of things. As I mentioned, anytime you're on the website and you come up to the top of any page and you type in a ticker symbol, if you have SharpCharts selected from this menu, the default chart style is what's going to be pulled up here. So as you can see, let's say I type in Microsoft up at the top, it's going to pull in that chart style. If I'm on another page, let's say I'm over here on the dashboard and I type in a ticker symbol like XOM, you'll see that this is going to take us back to the Workbench with that same chart style. So the default is an important one because it's kind of the starting place when you first come to the Workbench. The other thing, though, that the default is going to be used for is also creating new chart lists. So anytime you're over in the chart list world, you create a new chart list and you add some symbols into that, the default is what's going to be applied to all of those different symbols. You can always change it, but the default chart style is going to be what's applied when you create those new chart lists. If you run a scan or you have alert results and you want to save those to your account, the default is what's going to be applied when you create a new chart list with those scan results or those alert results. So there are a whole bunch of different reasons why the default is a very, very important one. Again, it's kind of the starting place, but also for saving lists and things like that, it is very important as well. So you come to StockCharts, you set up your chart exactly the way that you want it, and then what you're going to do is hit Save as Default. That is going to set up your default chart style and give you that kind of starting place if you are a StockCharts member. Every time you come back to the Workbench, that is going to be the chart you see. Now, you might want to modify that. You might want to create a couple of different chart styles because you've got different time frames that you want to look at or different sets of indicators. So it's very, very easy to kind of manage your chart styles from down here in this menu as well. If you make any changes, you set up a different chart, maybe you change the chart type or you add some different indicators, anything that you want to do down in this settings section, If you want to then add that as a new chart style, all you have to do is hit that add new button right there. That'll allow you to save a name for that chart style and set a style button for it. We're going to come back to that in a couple of minutes because we're actually going to show you one other place here in the Workbench where you can access your chart style. So put that aside for a second, but just remember that you can set style buttons from this add new pop-up. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But here you're going to set a name for your chart style, hit add, and then that is going to be saved to your account as another chart template. What that means is that it's going to be added to this menu. So you'll be able to access any of those saved chart styles from this menu. As you can see here, these are, again, just to reiterate this, all of the different chart styles that I have saved to my account. I have got a ton of these things, but you can start to sort of build out your own version of this menu by creating these chart templates, saving them as chart styles. And then anytime you want to jump over to one of these, you just have to open up this menu and give it a click. So for instance, I've just clicked over to a different chart style that's just the candlesticks. And you can see how easy it is to move between some of these different things. Here's one that is a moving average ribbon. Here's one that has just the scooter panel up at the very top. That's our StockCharts technical rank. So by saving a whole bunch of these different chart styles in addition to your default chart, you can easily move between those different chart templates without having to sort of futz around with the settings down at the bottom and sort of customize those charts from scratch every single time. So we can get back to something that's going to look very similar to our default. Here we go. We're sort of now back at where we started with. Now, once you've selected something from here, let's say you make some changes to it. You change the color of a moving average. Maybe you change the chart type. Any change that you make to a chart style. If you want to update that chart style from here on the SharpCharts Workbench, you just move over to your next button right here and you hit that replace option. So let's say we customized some settings on this chart style and then we wanted to save that and basically overwrite an existing chart style that we've already saved using that add new button. All we have to do is hit that replace button and then select the one that we want to replace from this menu. That's going to basically overwrite that existing chart style. So if you want to make a change to an existing chart style, or if you want to totally wipe it out basically and replace it with something totally different, you do have that option in here with the replace menu. So very, very easy to do that from down in this row. Now, one other option you do have as well is the edit properties button. So if you want to change the name, for instance, of an existing chart style, let's say we wanted to make this something else like stock daily level 2, something like that. Anything that we want to change this to, we can hit that edit properties link and that'll allow us to change the name of this chart style and again, change the style button, which is something we will come back to in just a minute. So if you want to change the name of any of your chart styles, all you have to do is make sure it's selected from this menu and then hit that little edit properties button. That'll allow you to very quickly, very easily change the name. Finally, if you want to delete a chart style from your account, you can always hit that delete option right there. We'll throw up a little warning. I don't want to delete this one from my account personally, so we're not going to demonstrate that one. But if you do want to delete a chart style from your account, you have that option right there. So that's kind of a quick tour of how chart styles work here on the SharpCharts Workbench. Stop 1. This is kind of the what I like to call the quick actions menu. If you want to just do little quick actions with some of your chart styles, this is a great place to go. It's a great menu, great set of buttons to know about. So again, you can select any of your chart styles from this menu right here. You can save your default right here. If you want to ever update your default, this is a very, very easy way to do it. Either select an existing style that you want to make your default, or customize a specific chart using the settings down below and then quickly save that as your default. You can add additional chart styles from this menu right here, replace existing chart styles, edit things like the name, and if you want to delete a chart style, you can also do that from right here. Now, the next place that we're going to go though is the standalone chart styles menu, and this is where style buttons come into play. So over on the left side of the screen, you'll see that we have all of these little buttons. And when I hover over these, we actually get the name of the chart style that is assigned to this button. This is what we call style buttons. This is sort of the style button collection. You can save different chart styles as a style button or to a style button, which makes it very quick and easy to access that. So So for your basically your favorite chart styles, the ones that are your go-tos, the ones that you use constantly, consistently throughout the day, you can set those as a style button or sort of attach that to a style button. And it makes it very easy to pull up that chart style without having to go find it in any of the menus. So as you can see, my default is actually what I call my level 2 chart. I've set up my style buttons with a whole bunch of other charts. For instance, here is the level 4 chart, as I call it. And so you can see that as I click around to these different style buttons, it's very easy to move between those different chart styles. So here's a very advanced chart template. I brought in a whole bunch of additional indicators, but it's very easy to sort of pull that up because all I have to do is hover over the right style button, give it a click, and I'm going to pull up that chart style. Now, I could come back down to the bottom of the screen. I could open up this menu and I could sort of select everything from right in here. But if I've got chart styles that I know I want to use consistently, I can assign those to these style buttons and it makes it very easy to move through those. So in my case, you'll actually see this a little bit more in just a minute. I've got my different sort of chart levels, something that we've covered on the show in the past, basically just kind of a graduated set of more and more indicators as the levels go up. But I've got my different sort of chart levels for individual stocks on the daily time frame in here. Then I've got a couple of different levels for my weekly charts here. This is a 5-year and this one is a 15. Then I've got some ETF specific styles and some intraday specific styles down at the bottom as well. So these are kind of the go-to chart styles that I find myself using consistently throughout the trading day, the ones that I really constantly flip through. And so I've set those up as style buttons, makes it very easy to jump around. For instance, if I wanted to see a 15-year weekly chart of Exxon, kind of that zoomed out long-term view, because I've set that up as a style button, it's very, very easy to get to that chart and see here we've got our 15-year chart of Exxon Mobil. So style buttons are a nice little handy trick here on the Workbench. It makes it a little easier to access some of your go-tos. Again, you can set your style buttons down here by specifying or selecting a specific chart style and then setting a specific button for it. In the edit properties menu, for instance, you can see that level 2 chart, which was our third style button that has button 3 assigned to it. If I wanted to remove the style button from that, I could select none, or if I wanted to move it to a different style button position, you can also do that in here. Again, I think I mentioned this before, but you've got up to 12 of these that you can set. I've personally maxed mine out as you'll see in just a minute, but you can move these around using that little menu right in there. So the edit properties allows you to set those style button positions, and when you create a new chart style from scratch, if you have the space available, you can also save that as a style button. So that's a quick tour of the style buttons there. There's actually something else on the left side of this page, though. There's a hidden menu which allows you to kind of see all of this together in one place. A very, very handy menu, sort of the full featured chart styles menu. So up at the top, we're going to hit that little arrow, and you'll see that pops out a menu from the left side of the Workbench, which has all of our chart styles listed out right here for you. Now, a couple of handy little things here. First off, there's a separator in this list. Everything above that little buttons line is going to be your style buttons. Everything below is going to be sort of those additional chart styles that you have saved into your account. You can actually drag and drop to reorder this. So you'll see as I hover over the right side of any of these, I can actually click and drag on this and just pull it up if I wanted to assign that to a specific style button. Or vice versa, if I wanted to take one of these existing styles, let's say I don't really need my 5-day intraday style, I don't want that as a style button anymore, I can just drag it down to the lower section, release that, and it'll be no longer assigned to a style button. So instead of having to sort of remember those numbers like we were doing with that edit properties menu out on the Workbench, this is actually a great way to set your style buttons. Just come over, open this menu from the left side of the screen, and you can drag your favorite chart styles up into the top section here. Those will automatically be saved as style buttons. So this is a really, really helpful way. Also a great way to access your chart styles though. So if you want to click on any of these, for instance, we can click on that candles only chart style, just like we did before. You can see that that's going to pull up that chart style. So you've got actually 2 different ways here, 3 if you include the style buttons. You've got a couple of different ways to access your chart styles. Either the menu down below, which again is kind of that quick actions menu, Or if you actually open up this panel from the left side of the screen, you can access any of your chart styles from in here as well. That also includes those predefined chart styles that I mentioned at the beginning of the show. So any of the sort of pre-created chart styles that we have made for you, those are also included in this chart styles menu on the left side as well. So as you can see, I have saved a ton of these. These have all different purposes. We'll run through that actually in just a minute. I'll give you some tips from a longtime StockCharts user, give you some strategy ideas here. But before we do that, I want to show you the one other feature of this chart styles menu. There's a little button up at the top that says edit. When you hit that, you'll see that this menu changes just a little bit. These have all now become editable text inputs. So if you wanted to change the name of any of your chart styles, you can hit that little edit button and come in here and actually type in any of these boxes. So if you wanted to change this, let's say you changed the chart style and you wanted to come in here and rename it, you could type in that box to reset that. So using this little styles menu on the left side gives you some more kind of editing options in here. A couple of other things you do have as well. You have the ability to actually sort of set any of your other chart styles as the default chart style using this little checkbox, this little check mark. So you can see that level 2, which was the default that we started the show with, that is already set as my default chart style. So here it's actually the only one in this entire list that doesn't have the little check mark. That says default. If I wanted to change my default to something else, all I've got to do is hit that little check mark, and you'll see that now this level 1 chart becomes my default. If I wanted to change my default to something like that long-term weekly chart, you can see all I have to do is hit that little check mark. So this is a nice way to kind of move your default chart style around. Once you set up all of your different chart styles in your account, give them the right names, kind of organize those, maybe assign them to chart styles or to style buttons, you can always come into this menu and actually kind of move your default around. So I'm gonna actually set this back to that level 2 chart though, so I don't screw up my own account. The other thing you do have available in here is the ability to delete any chart styles right from this menu. So you can always hit that little trash can icon to delete any styles from your account. Once you're done kind of setting those up, you've made any name changes or changed your default, anything like that, all you have to do is look for that done button up at the very top, same spot as the edit button was originally. Hit done, and we are back to normal, back to square one here in the Save Chart Styles menu. So that is a quick tour of kind of everything. Now you might have a couple of questions about why I have so many chart styles in my own account or kind of what these are for. So as I mentioned, just some quick tips on kind of creating these styles, how they can work for you, things that I have personally done with mine. I like to create different chart styles for different security types, for different time frames, and for different strategies. We'll call them strategies. Different kind of use cases of sets of technical indicators or different kind of views that I might want to pull up. So as you can see, when I say equity, I really kind of mean individual stock. These actually can function for ETFs as well, but they're mostly single stock specific styles. That's kind of the primary thing that I look at as an individual stock trader. So I've got these different levels for my individual stock chart styles. We've looked at a couple of those. For instance, we started with the level 2. I showed you the level 4 as well. The idea here behind these levels is that it is basically the same chart as the level 4, but kind of stripped down as the levels go down. So when I click through, I'll actually show you this really quickly. When we start at level 0, we're looking at a very simple chart that is basically just price and a couple of moving averages. When we click up to level 1, we bring in one additional element, which is the relative strength panel up at the top. When we jump up to level 2, we bring in one more thing on top of that, which is the RSI down at the bottom. And I do also add in volume. So you can see it's kind of the same chart, but it just continues to step up until we get all the way up to level 4. This is kind of the full featured chart, brings in a couple of different relative strength panels and then a couple of different technical indicators at the bottom. So I've got this kind of graduated leveling system to some of my chart styles. So that's what the levels are, in case you were wondering. But the point is, I've got different chart styles for different security types, different time frames, and different strategies. So we're looking at a set of daily charts up at the very top here. I've also got charts that are for individual stocks, but for a weekly time frame, weekly chart period. So a bit of a longer term kind of view there. I've got chart styles that are specific to ETFs. They are very, very similar to the individual stock styles, but they bring in things like the dividends indicator because a lot more ETFs pay dividends more kind of consistently. So I've got some specific styles that are just for ETFs. I've got intraday styles as well. So if I want to really sort of zoom into the intraday data, even as granular as minute-to-minute data, where each bar represents 1 single minute of trading, I've got specific chart styles saved for that. And as I scroll down here, you can see I've also done the same for different security types and different types of symbols that I'm going to pull up. So I've actually got mutual fund styles down at the bottom. I've got index ETF styles. If it's an index that is an ETF, so something like SPY or IWM, basically a market index, but it's actually an ETF under the surface. I've got others for pure indexes, so $SPX, the actual S&P 500 ETF or index. If I'm looking at something like that, I've got specific styles for those things. Again, more ETF styles, things like that. So you can see you can kind of really start to organize these chart styles for different purposes as you go through your trading and your charting routines. Now, finally, up at the top, I've got a whole bunch that I call basic for whatever reason. But as you can see by these names, they're basically different sort of strategies. So if I wanted to just look at a very, very simple chart of only candlesticks, this is one that we showed off a little earlier in the show, I've saved a chart style for this. So sometimes it's really nice to strip away all the technical indicators, even the moving averages, and look at nothing but price. A very, very clean, very, very pure chart. I've saved a chart style for that. So it's very easy for me to open up this menu on the left and get to that kind of stripped out view. If I want to look at a long-term line chart, this is helpful for some of the end of day indexes, commodities, things like that. I've got a chart style for that. So some of these basic styles, even things like rate of change, some indicators that I look at occasionally, but they're maybe not primaries for me. I've actually saved chart styles that allow me to sort of quickly pull up that indicator. So this is a chart that allows me to basically just look at rate of change, which is something that I occasionally like to do in specific instances. So you can really get creative with these chart styles. There are so many different uses. One other thing that we talk about a lot is using color schemes to differentiate between some of these chart styles. Again, any settings that you put into your chart, it's all going to be saved to that style. So chart type, period, color scheme, all the different indicators that you have, positioning, sizing, all that stuff, it's going to get saved there. So you can really get creative with these chart styles. But a couple of different ideas there for kind of organizing your chart styles. I've been doing this for a long time here on StockCharts specifically. So this is kind of what I found works really, really well for me, organizing these styles by security type, by time frame, and even by kind of strategy as well. So that is our full tour there of the SharpCharts Workbench, all the different chart styles areas, how to set those up, how to save them, how to edit them, even delete them from your account. Again, chart styles, I think one of the most important features of the site, really a huge time saver. A way to sort of take your approach and solidify it with those styles. Makes it easy to pull up the same charts over and over without having to customize them every single time with those different indicators. And as you can see, you can go nuts creating tons of these, even things you're only going to use occasionally. Still create a chart style for that. Makes it easy to get back to maybe that long-term chart that you only look at once a month or once a quarter even. You can still create a chart style for that. Makes it easy to come back to it down the road. So hopefully that gives you a sense of kind of how you can start to use some of these different chart styles. Now we're going to jump over to ACP very briefly. Again, all the concepts still apply, the reasons to save chart styles, the reasons to use them, the terminology, those kinds of things, default chart style, all of that good stuff. All that applies in ACP as well. So the concepts we've been talking about here in SharpCharts are still going to apply in ACP. The interface is a little bit different, so we're going to tour you through that, and we're going to show you some of the sample chart styles that we've created over there. Very, very powerful stuff. So let's jump over to ACP and take a look. All right, my friends, so here we are in ACP. Of course, this is our interactive advanced charting platform, kind of all in one, brings everything into one place for you. Your chart list, your scans, your market dashboards, all that good stuff right here for you. One of the things, though, that is crucial for getting the most out of ACP, just like SharpCharts, again, chart styles. So I've actually navigated us over to a chart that looks very, very similar to what we started with in the SharpCharts world. Again, this is the same concepts apply. So I've set my ACP sort of platform experience up exactly the same way, very similar chart styles. We're looking at my level 2 chart again here, starting with ExxonMobil. And I've navigated us over on the left side of the screen to our ChartStyles menu. To do that, just look for that little paintbrush icon. Again, you can click through any of these panels. You're going to start with the chart settings, move into color schemes, but the third one down is going to be all of your different chart styles. So the same concepts apply. You set up your ACP charts and you want to save that as a chart template. You can do that very quickly and very easily from the ChartStyles menu over on the left side of the screen. Once you've set up that chart exactly the way that you want it, come over to the ChartStyles menu, look for the big green button at the bottom, hit Save Chart Style. And you actually have a couple of different options kind of all in one here. So if you want to save this as a new chart style, you're going to set that option up at the top to save as new. It's going to be the first one selected. Type in your chart style name in the box right here and then hit save. Easy peasy, that's just going to save that chart style to your account, just like we did with SharpCharts. If you want to update an existing chart style, you want to replace something, maybe you've made a change, just like we did in SharpCharts, you make a change to an existing chart style, maybe tweak some settings, tweak some colors, those kinds of things. Same concept applies. Come back over to the chart styles panel, look for that big green button at the bottom, hit Save Chart Style. But instead, when you open that up, you're going to select Update Existing. Now, this is going to allow you, just kind of like we did with that Replace option, it's going to allow you to select an existing chart style from your account. And once you do that, you can replace that by hitting Save Chart Style. So very, very easy to create those new chart styles here in ACP. Or if you want to update existing styles from your account, you can also do that in basically the same menu, kind of the same workflow there. Once you save those, you get a whole list of your styles over on the left side in here. Again, same kind of ideas. You can see I've got a whole organization of this. I've actually used a little bit of a starring system to kind of custom order this. But we've got our equity daily styles. We've got equity weekly styles in here. We've got our ETF styles, intraday styles, and then a whole bunch of those what I call basic styles as well. So something like candles only. Again, very, very easy to pull up these different chart styles here in ACP. Now, editing these things, very similar to that SharpCharts menu, but a little bit different. First and foremost, if you want to open up any of these chart styles, all you have to do is click the name. So here we are now over on that rate of change chart style, just like we looked at with SharpCharts. Very easy to open up any of these. Just give the name a quick click. If you want to edit any of these, when you hover over that style, you'll see that some icons appear over on the right side. So if you want to change the name, you can actually hit that little pencil icon. That will allow you to edit the chart style name. If you want to delete any chart styles from your account, all you have to do is hit that delete chart style button. You will have this little confirmation modal that pops up. It allows you to delete any of your chart styles very easily. Now, the third one is to set your default style. So you'll see that when you hover over any of these, you have a little star. The one that is starred, which for me, again, is that equity level 2 daily chart. The one that is starred yellow, that star is actually always going to appear there. That is going to be your default ACP chart style. Works very similar to SharpCharts. When you run a scan and you save those results to a chart list here in ACP, or when you create a new chart list and you put a bunch of symbols into it, anything like that, that default chart is what is going to be used, that default chart style. If you want to change that default chart style, all you have to do is click a different star. You'll see that you get a confirmation message up at the top. So now I've set my weekly chart to be my default. And if we want to get it back to the level 2 that we had before, it's very, very easy to do that. So you can kind of move your default around. This menu in a lot of ways was actually based off of the SharpCharts menu that we opened up there from the left side of the screen. So kind of similar workflows there. So that's a pretty quick tour of how to manage your own sort of custom chart styles in ACP. Again, you create those, set them up exactly the way that you want them, and then just open up that chart styles menu on the left side, hit that Save Chart Style button. Very easy to either save those as new or update existing chart styles from your account. If you do have a ton like me, you can also filter this menu up at the top. So you can start to type in here, for instance, equity, and that'll actually sort of filter that whole list very easily if you've got one that you want to find. You can also collapse this menu. And that actually, if you, again, if you're like me and you have a ton of chart styles, that'll allow you to access some of the other sort of sample chart styles that we have built for you. So just like we had in SharpCharts, we had all those predefined chart styles. We've done the exact same thing here in ACP. We've actually got even more. So all of these different groups are sample chart styles, full of sample chart styles that you can actually access. You can use these on their own. They are great starting places, or you can use them as a template to build from. You can pull up one of these sample styles, start from that, customize it, make it your own, and then save your own custom chart style with those settings. So when you open up any of these, you're going to get all of these different sample chart styles in here. There are a ton in here, lots and lots to play around with. Some of these were actually even based off of some of the chart styles that I like to use in ACP. So for instance, we've got a candlesticks only sample style, which is very similar to what I had in there with the basic candles only chart that we were looking at earlier in the show. So you can open up any of these different sections, click on any of these different names, and you'll get some pretty amazing charts. For instance, here is an electric blue one, a very, very visual chart. Very cool. It gives you a sense of kind of how crazy you can go with ACP, making it pretty amazing. But you've got different sample styles up in this top one that are kind of just basic concepts. And then we actually get, go a little bit further here. We've got some strategy specific chart styles as well. So things like relative strength analysis, trend analysis, volume analysis, momentum, and money flow. If you want to pull up any of these, it'll very quickly and easily pull up a strategy specific chart style that, again, can be great on its own if you just want to use this as is out of the box, or if you want to start to customize this and kind of make it your own, these can be great starting places. So you've got different sample chart styles for specific strategies, for specific time frames. So for instance, a weekly starter in here based off of Dave Keller's approach, actually. You've got different time frame options in there, different trading style options. So, maybe you've heard about something like swing trading and you want a style that's sort of specific to that, or position trading. Maybe you want to pull up that one. You've got a couple of different starters in there. And again, these kind of do two things. They give you a sense of kind of the different things that you can do with ACP. So they're kind of a tour of some of the different features, but they are actually, style specific or strategy specific or time frame specific as well. So they can be great starters for some of those concepts. Finally, we have a whole bunch of specific chart styles that are based off of different experts. So for instance, if you like Dave Landry's work, you've been following his show on StockCharts TV, and you want a chart that's kind of similar to what Dave starts with here in ACP, you can come over to that experts section, pull up the Dave Landry sample chart style, and then kind of get started with Dave's approach. So lots and lots of these different samples in here to play with in ACP. And again, if you wanted to save any of these to your own account, all you have to do is hit that Save Chart Style button at the bottom. So you can actually start with some of these samples here in ACP, customize it, or just leave it alone, and you can actually save that as a chart style of your own. Go set it as your default. Anything that you want to do there, you can really kind of go nuts. So chart styles, again, one of the most important features of StockCharts. Really, I think one of the biggest reasons to become a member, one of the most important things you can take advantage of as a member. And again, you can go nuts with these things. You can have different styles for different security types. Maybe you want one chart style for stocks, one chart style for cryptos, one chart style for mutual funds, those kinds of things. You can have different chart styles for different time frames. You can have different chart styles for different strategies. Anything that you can dream up, any reason to come up with a chart style, you can save that to your own account, come back to that chart in the future. So that is our show for today. I know a long tour there of chart styles. Given that it's one of the most important features, though, really had to do it justice, had to spend some good time here walking through all the different ways to use these chart styles. Hopefully that's given you a sense of some of the different strategies and things like that, in addition to just kind of how to set up these different chart styles, save them, edit them, those kinds of things, both in SharpCharts and in ACP. Again, the concept is the same. You're saving chart styles. You've got a default. You can edit those. No matter which world you are in, the concepts are still the same, even if the sort of interface for setting those things is a little bit different. But if you are not currently taking advantage of chart styles, if you're still sort of messing around with settings, you find yourself, tweaking things constantly, trying to set up a chart that you had in the past, chart styles are for you. It's a huge time saver, a great way to kind of streamline your charting workflow. So lots of great ways to use chart styles. And you know, even if that's, like I mentioned earlier, even if it's something that you only visit once a month or once a quarter, some of those sort of occasional charts that you like to pull up, you can still save that as a chart style. It'll be right there waiting for you anytime you want to come back to that template in the future. So lots of great ways to use these things. I want to thank you for joining me on today's show. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but hopefully you had some fun with me here on Stock Charts in Focus. Again, we do this show every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time up on the live channel, also on our YouTube channel after that, and of course the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. So lots of different ways to watch, but we're here every Friday just kind of touring you through the site, helping you get more value out of all these different tools in every corner of the website. No matter which sort of platform you use, if you're primarily a SharpCharts user or primarily an ACP user, in either case, we've always got something for you. So hopefully you'll join me on next week's show, as we'll be back with more great tips and tricks and things like that all around stock charts. Again, my name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been great to be with you. I will see you next week for another episode of Stock Charts in Focus. But until then, chart on, my friends.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.